From Builder Studios, this is Colors of Social Media, the podcast for marketers and small business owners who believe in digital marketing. I'm your host, Enoch Robert Boy Apia Jr. Today, we are talking about something crucial, building an African brand in the digital age. Africa is a continent rich with creativity, culture, and innovation. But how can businesses craft a strong digital-first brand identity that resonates globally? Now, to break it all down, I'll be joined by Tobi Speaks, a strategic communication and brand marketing expert, a fellow podcast host, founder of Gen, and an advocate for empowering African talented growth. She has worked extensively in digital branding and partnerships, helping brands tell compelling stories that stand out in a crowded digital space. Now, before we begin this all-important conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Calypso Social Media, and follow the show on Spotify, same name, Calypso Social Media, so you never miss an episode. So one more thing, unlike other episodes, this episode was recorded virtually. So you might hear audio quality that you are not familiar with, but I will try to clean it up as much as possible. Now let's start.
Yeah, so thanks so much. Building on the African continent it has pros and cons. You have access to ready talents who are willing to put in the work, get in the grind for, at least the minimum pay. You have talents, and the human resource that are even willing to volunteer. So that speaks about the future of Africa when it comes to the future of work. But when we begin to speak to access to funding and, financial resources, it's a major bottleneck. So you hear a lot of millions of dollars released from organizations across the globe into Africa. But yet, when it comes to access to those funding for viable projects, it looks as though it's spread across just a very few privileged people. So building here, one of the other things that I've seen, one of my mentors was speaking about it, was the fact that as Africans, we have to understand that we are not in the West. So if you are building a solution, you have to build a solution that speaks to the African continent. If you are building, let's say, an agri-tech solution for farmers, you have to understand that the farmers don't have access to even a tech phone. They are most likely using a yam phone, or don't even know how to use a remote. So you are able to integrate the ready market. We have the numbers, yes, but we also need to be able to be the bridge. The average African country is running on a capitalist, system. Entrepreneurs, the money of entrepreneurs. You go, let's say, for example, you go to North Legon, you have at least 50 businesses on one lane. Just a drive through. So that tells you where the economy is. And the people buying these things are not necessarily elites. So that also speaks to one of the challenges, because we see a lot of, I'm going to give a very practical solution or example. In the tech industry, we have a lot of fintech solutions. But till now, you can find very few tech apps or fintech apps that can actually allow you to send money from Ghana to the US. I can count at the tip of my fingers. Everybody's sending money from outside in, all right? But when you look at exporting our own resources, I was speaking to a shipper some days ago, and they use a fintech app, an app to automate their systems. And I looked at the fees for importing products from the US. It's $10 per kg. However, to export, it's $35. That already tells you that there's a major issue. I'm paying times 3 to be able to export what is supposed to be cheap here. All right. So if I'm getting the raw materials here, the cost of exports, all right, not just in produce, the cost of export in human resource to get a visa, all right, even if you have a legitimate business, do you understand? So those are some of the things we need to be able to find a way to navigate. All right. But we can't wait for, like somebody will always tell me, one of my friends will tell me, you can't wait for the solutions to come from out there. Nobody's going to build a paper app and build it with you in mind. iPhone was not even designed for Africans in mind. An average high-tech iPhone is $1,000. So please, how many Africans, or let's even do a sample audience in Ghana, what's the minimum wage? let's look at Nigeria. So the question is, they don't have you in mind. All right. You have to, what has worked in countries like Korea, what has worked in countries like China, where they built their own system. And when we are building, we shouldn't build for them. We build for us, because that's what they do. And then we look at exporting our own solutions. All right. So that's what I have observed in the process of building. We have the human resource. We have the best hands. The best doctors are in the US, from Africa, from Ghana. The recent is it the Registrar General, one of the high level offices in ECOWAS? No, not ECOWAS. I think it is UN. All right, is recently sworn in a Ghanaian woman. All right, so we don't have issues with talent. We don't have issues with the expertise. What we need is a mind shift. All right, that mind shift will help us begin to profile solutions for our local selves, and then we export that. All right, the moment we provide solutions for ourselves, if you build a car in Ghana right now, a Ghana assembled car is more expensive than a Toyota Yaris coming from, South Korea. And you wonder, so why would I buy a car that is assembled here and it's more expensive?
Looking at just this first submission, I think I'm in for a good discussion here. Let's start by looking at what sets African brands apart from global brands. What makes us unique when you compare the two?
All right, so when we speak to the uniqueness of the African startups, we're speaking to resilience. We've been through a lot, all right? And we're speaking to the competence. When we're speaking to competence, if you look across board, and I'm not speaking to just emotions, I'm speaking to facts, all right? We're talking about 50% of doctors, over 55% of doctors in the UK and US right now are Africans. All right, so according to UNICEF, we are going to, by 2035, we're going to be having the largest working age or working population across the globe. So Africa is the future of work. So but we'll speak to the African culture. We're speaking to the future of work and the future of the world population. That's why I believe strongly that we need to take ourselves more seriously than we have. We need to take ourselves more seriously than we have so far, because we have the number. A lot of the things that we are seeing in the West right now, before colonization, Africa had it. So you see them, talk about some form of technology, how to refine some product, and you're like, everybody's coming back to shea butter. You see here using shea butter as basic. So imagine we are able to, actively, they come to Africa to pick the shea butter, and then they sell it back to us as Nivea. Imagine we had that right in Africa, exporting that. So what we have is more than enough. We're rich in culture, we're rich in resources, we're rich in human minds. What we need is the right leadership to be able to create the right environment. I will always say it over and over again, the government was not made to create jobs. There's no way in the world where the government is responsible for jobs. Entrepreneurship creates jobs. But what the government does is to provide a conducive environment for it. System. So it shouldn't take me 5 months to register my business. I shouldn't walk to an ECOWAS state and I'm paying thousands of dollars. I shouldn't have to pay for visa within ECOWAS state. What we have is just, we have everything it takes to actually build the future of the world. And trust me, we will. But we just need the right environment future. So to answer to your question, what makes us unique is actually ourselves, our history, our culture. And that's why I said that we were building solutions. We should build with that in mind. And that's why when I go to the Katoka airport, I see Aquaba. I'm not trying to say, welcome, please enter but no, Aquaba, welcome to Ghana. If I go to Italy, they're going to tell me in their local dialect, look at how everybody's eating pizza. But so it's not our own. Imagine we have in rich, healthy food. Kenke is so rich in, calorie and in, energy. Our mash kenke, look at that. Our wache is, you will see the big. Yes. So I think the issue is not that we are not building. It's because I think the issue is that we're not believing in what we're building. So what will eventually make us stand out is when we begin to take ourselves seriously.
I mean, from what you're saying, all that I can pick from is that there's a lot of opportunities for brands in Africa.
Right. Absolutely.
Piggybacking on the data that you just gave in, that in 2035, we will have the largest working force globally, right? This is an opportunity for us.
Lion is made of cleaning. I mean, when we take ourselves seriously, coconut water is being imported in some supermarkets in Ghana.
And we have those boys selling it on the road. Why not get these investors to invest on these guys? Provide accurate leadership. We have more than enough.
So I want to know, what are some of the challenges these African brands that you've worked with are facing?
Yes, thank you so much. Should we be very, very sincere? Do you want the packaged answer or the real truth? A lot of Africans, number one, a lot of us have very good ideas, but we need to get the appropriate knowledge to know how to upscale. The major challenge we're facing is scaling up. So you see a woman selling mashed cake for 20 years at a junction. There is no plan for upscale, and there's no access to funding for upscaling. Upscaling doesn't come by selling 20 cities kenke every single day. What you will only be able to do, you'll be able to grow. But when you talk about upscaling, you need access to funds. And not just funds, access to resources in mindset shifts that allows you to be able to see the bigger picture compared to where you are. Do you understand what I'm saying? I have one brand that I work with that is into local cosmetic products built from the African continent, shea butter and all that. And one of the there's a lot of dream, there's a lot of packaging, but they need access to funding. I'm going to give you an example of a major Ghanaian brand known here in Ghana and across the globe, Skingome. Skingome access to major funding. You could check them up. They're doing fantastic work. They have labelings in Italian, in Spanish, in Russian. So do you know what it takes to print packaging in different languages? Money. So first of all, it's a mindset that makes you feel like if I'm going to scale up crop across the globe, I need access to the right knowledge. There's a type of thinking, there's a type of mindset that makes you feel like this is possible. Then number two, the access to those funds. So I see UNIDO and a lot of UNICEF training, for a lot of SMEs on how to export not only products, but also services. So we need more of such mindset so that people are not, I've seen people in my country, there's something we call akara. It's made from beans fried cake, yeah? And the government sends all our 3 sons to the university, to college, abroad with money from that. Imagine what the children, and then the children finished. Look at the parody, yeah? It's a very, very amazing thing. A mother begins to sell at the junction. From that money, she sends 3 children to school. Not only college, masters and then PhD. And then these children finish and they go and work as doctors. Do you see that there's a mindset issue? Can you see the mindset issue already? Because do I make enough money to be able to sponsor 3 people to get Western knowledge, and they don't think about the fact that I can reapply this knowledge and scale up this business? Scaling.
Interesting.
If for 20 years this business can run, there's a mindset that makes me feel like, nah, there's something in this. That's how Kentucky Fried Chicken started. How to take a simple recipe and then it's now a global brand. Look at Walmart. This man literally started at the back of his house. Look at Ford. Yeah, Apple. There was a mindset. There's a mindset of upscaling, all right? What begins to, a lot of people don't even know that they can get access to funding. They're not even thinking of upscaling. No, let's just be selling like this. So anything that is too much, the village people will start saying it. Their mindset. So we need to fix our mindset and then be able to fit the next generation.
You've made mention when it comes to scaling, and I think that is one of the key things that African brands need here. You've made mention of Skingome. Do you know of any other brands apart from Skincare Gourmet that is making an impact globally?
From Ghana, from Africa, of course, we all are aware of Stripe. Yeah, we are in the fintech space. We all are aware of Stripe. We are aware of Paystack, Flutterwave. These are international export materials from the very soil of Africa. We're looking at in the fintech space. I'm a tech person. In the tech space, we're looking at Flutterwave. I'll come again on that. Paystack. We're looking at Stripe, recently sold over to Twitter as a payment gateway. We have a lot of exportable tech solutions, yeah? But when we talk about local brands, we are still building, honestly. Yes, very sincere by Phils. I know of Naya Africa, Naya and also at East. They export, yes, they export local products, which is actually, they're just a handful, just a few people who have been able to upscale. Look at gold. The issue, it's painful sometimes when I speak about the African continent, and that's what I'm so passionate about. Anybody who knows me,
and I'm passionate about the culture of Africa is because
There. Do you hear it in your voice, Tobi?
see, I'm telling you, we're literally sitting on gold. And you know what we do with gold? We export gold, all right? And then they sell back gold jewelry to us and we buy. Is that not an So the question we begin to ask ourselves is, what is wrong? What is happening? So to answer your question, there's just a few. And even Skin Gomede I was speaking about, I don't think she grew up in Ghana here. She has her roots in the UK, United Kingdom. So you can tell where that influence is coming from. So there's a lot of work to be done. I think that's the condition of the matter.
Let's continue this conversation by helping our listeners craft the best digital brand for their brand alerts, I should say that. So when we talk about branding fundamentals, in your experience, what are the key elements of a strong digital brand?
One of the key strong elements of a digital brand, I must say, which I've seen that we also need to work on in Africa, is strategy. We miss out in strategy. And it just runs from generation to generation. Somebody wants to open a laundry business and they go, God would do it international laundry services. I know God will do it. I'm not saying it. Neither am I saying that their nature is wrong. I'm just saying that can you give us something that can run up? Yeah. So number two, a lot of people do have a very good understanding of target audience. You ask an average business owner, an SME especially, who doesn't have access to maybe the Deloitte KPMG strategy document or anything. There is no audience research. There's no brand persona. Who are you trying to reach out to? I recently started a podcast, which Sarah is aware about. No Excuse brand. We started off for nothing less than 2 months on strategy, understanding the fonts that were built to a brand persona. The brand persona we're looking at, the color text, the fonts. We're looking at the tone, keywords. So how many SMEs sit down and did keyword research? And that's why I currently work with Generation, and that's one of the things we train our digital marketers. I'm a mentor on there. You can't just post. You have to, in your capsule, you must have made keyword research. What's your SEO strategy? Do you understand? So, number one, like I said, strategy. Number two, research, brand persona research, understanding who your target audience are. All right. So if we can do these two, we most likely get it right on branding. Somebody's like, I can't pay a brand strategist. There's a brand strategist village volunteer somewhere along the line. You understand? Somewhere out there. You just need to put it out there. I'm looking for a brand strategist. And it's not a waste of time.
And talking about brand perception also, social media plays a key role in that, right? So how can these, up and coming businesses utilize platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok to build brand identity?
Wow, social media is the new normal. All right, so it's no longer a luxury that you have a business and you are not on social media. All right, so social media is where you are able to access the world. All right, at little or no cost. So what you just need is an internet, and thank God a lot of these platforms are not paid, except for paid reach. All right, where you are beginning to look at paid reach. Social media allows you a little bit to display your services, your gifts, your offerings, yes, your global offerings to the world. It's the visibility that we never knew we needed. And that's why I always say that as a business owner, as an SME, having a digital marketer or a social media manager it's no longer a luxury. It's not because you're busy. It's because you need somebody who actually knows what they are doing. It's not about posting. The algorithms keep changing, and having a very, very in-depth understanding of these platforms, which is not possible as an SME to understand these things and still run the business. It's strategic. It's the future of work. But I always say this thing: while you are building on these platforms, ensure you have a platform of your own. Have a website, have your own page, but ensure that these places are funnel.
In my work, I've worked with a lot of startups, right? And whenever branding comes in, their main issue will be that they don't have budget for that. They will rather use the budget to, produce more products, to, work on new services. So I want to know, what are some of the practical tips you give to up-and-coming startups if they want to build their brand identity? We've already talked about utilizing social media, free social media. Apart from that, are there any other practical examples that they can utilize?
Yeah. Of course, I understand, like maybe somebody who hasn't had access to, maybe it's even the capital for the business was crowdfunded. So I'm not imagining that someone like that is going to be able to afford any extra hand or talent. So what you can do as an SME is to outsource, or not outsource. No, at this moment you're unable to outsource. So what you can get familiar with are tools. So as an SME, you have access to your smartphone. You get familiar with design tools. Design your logo yourself. Someone's like, I don't know how to. You have to know how to do it, or else you pay. Or what you get, like tools. Yes. So get familiar with tools like Canva, CapCut. And think what a lot of these platforms already have templates you can work with. Just copy and paste. Start with that. Don't just start and then it is what the logo of your business is your face. What is one other strategy going to be is, one thing I always tell, if you have not been in a field and you don't have the resource to make new research is expensive. What you can do, go to people who have done, your competitors, not your direct competitors, bigger fishes in the market. See what they are doing, copy what they are doing and paste. You can't get it wrong. They've made the tools.
Yeah.
Instagram, right? You say, you can see that they put there, click on me, link in bio to order. Go and search. You sit down. If you're not going to pay for digital market, that you sit down and you sit there. That's sitting down there, you return asset. You sit it, bop that, and then
Babe, Tobi, let's do a bit of sideline. How long have you been in Ghana?
I've been in Ghana for 8 years, almost a decade.
Oh, okay. Yeah, your expenses is clean. Yeah.
Yeah. So the tea that you kakaraka ubeti baby. Okay. Yeah.
Oh Lord, let's continue.
So you have to just mirror what the bigger shops are doing. Follow them on Instagram. Follow Instagram her business. When they release new release, they're like, reels are working. Just post the video. Post it at a reel. Okay, if you don't know how to edit videos, check templates. You see templates there. Just use the template and copy and paste. So begin with copy and pasting before you now move to pro level. So those are actionable things you can do. Create an Instagram account. Look at what the guys who are. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't go and go for Mame Shah's page. Look at, if you're starting a food business, go to KFC page or what they're doing. Something is working. Then just mirror that.
I'm sure even if they start with the copy and paste, it will get enough funds, enough sales from using the copy and paste strategy. Then they can go and bring in a pro, and this person.
And I'll give people advice that at the beginning stages of any startup, you lavish funds. You should be puffing, because it takes time for people to recognize your brand, to even know your business. If someone's like, you have a business, what's the name of that business again? They forgot to say. So it takes time. Even probably your brothers, they're like, yeah, that's true. I know she sells this one. You understand? But, just keep at it. Consistency. You have to show up consistent. You can't post today and disappear 3 months. Eddie, it's how. Say, to be willing to show up.
Yeah. Let's make this a bit more practical. Could you share a real life case study, either from a brand that you work with or a brand that you admire, that successfully built a strong digital presence?
Right, thank you so much. So I worked with a particular client. The funny enough, this client was in the US, but it's an African in diaspora, targeting Africans in diaspora. And when they started, they had no logo. We had to start usually even from the name. We had to come up with a name. And somebody was coming up with Jehovah Jireh, Itri. No.
That's right.
We sat down for weeks, I think for an entire month, working with that name, utilizing AI. I used utilizing AI because, of course, the brand was bootstrapping on that phase. So I offered some pro bono services.
rehumanizing using AI. Okay, looking at taglines that will work in the US, the US space. And then right now, they are doing so well. Their revenue is in thousands. And I'm not saying cities of dollars. And one of the things is that they were willing to work. That's why I said there's somebody who is willing to do it for free. Just need to speak up. I did it pro bono because I knew it was a startup and they really needed my help. We came up with brand theme, brand color, brand fonts, came up with designs for them pre-launch. So we took an entire month to create an awareness. So a lot of Africans will make mistakes. You're like, I'll start selling now. Today I'll post new business now. Buy from me. And you expect, you're like, oh, my family wouldn't buy. Why would they buy? You just sold them today. Take time to create that. We took time to actually create that, euphoria and created FOMO, fear of missing out. The contact list, we started with a contact list. Right now, people are ordering from across the states in the US from this particular African diaspora.
I wanted, my next question would have been the lesson that you learned. But it looks like you worked on this brand. So I'm gonna, in fact, add a bit of some few tactics that you help this brand accomplish, apart from the daily link.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so what like I said, the goal of SME at every beginning stage is revenue. Like I said, their revenue has really grown. And now we are already looking at the brand has grown to a point where I now recommended a digital marketer. So I have a digital marketer from my own recommendation who has now upscaled what I'm doing, what I was doing for them pro bono. So now you can tell that their revenue is enough to pay. Yeah. Do you understand? They have enough revenue to pay. And now they're beginning to expand their product listing. When they started with like about 5 to 7 products. Now they're looking about over 20. They have product, what am I talking about? Over 50. And they are now looking to expand into complementary services. So they started with FMCG products, fast-moving consumer goods. And now they are looking at offering dining and eat-out options. Look at that. That's expand, that's grow. And that's one of the other things we need to know. We need to understand as, Africans building. Everybody's not a competition. You understand? I don't understand this thing that you want to know every other person's business will die. No, look at complementary services. If you sell toys and you sell, go beside the hospital and open Lush. Don't go open in Medina.
Looking ahead, what trends do you see shaping African branding in the next few years?
AI. It's also a no-brainer. Like artificial intelligence, and that's why we need to up our game. You can't be into branding and not begin to look at a way to as a business owner, you get to look at a way to integrate artificial intelligence into your product listing, your services space. Do you have a website? Do you have to look at live support using artificial intelligence, machine learning? Use your current mailing list to build data, and you don't necessarily need a professional to help you with that. You can take course and understand how machine learning works, how you can infuse, live support. So you are sleeping and AI answering questions based training data you've given to it.
And Tobi, if you could give one piece of advice to an entrepreneur or brand looking to establish themselves digitally, what would you be?
Yes. One advice I'll give is keep learning. Never play too. The technological, the tech space is fast. In fact, not fast. It's on a turbo net speed. You understand? So you have to keep learning. Keep yourself updated with the emerging trends, and so that you're not left behind. Because now we're using AI. If you're in cosmetics or even in fashion, we're already using AI as testing rules. So someone like, I sew clothes, but now my customer in the US, they send wrong measurement. There's something like that again. There are AI tools that you can use to measure people. Kojo doesn't need to leave Kaswa to come and meet you in Babadi to come and measure. Or you travel other way to go and measure. Now, you use AI. Okay, please just use this particular link. It will measure, it will tell you exactly what to do.
Yeah, you send it to me.
We also, even in the cosmetic and the beauty brand, right now, you can use AI. There are AI tools being built that can allow you to test products, see what it will look like on your skin before you buy it.
Yeah. I love all your submissions. They are so insightful. Thank you so much, Tobi, for joining me on Calypso Sessions. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
All right.
This episode, just like any other episode of Callers of Social Media podcast, is produced by Builder Studios and recorded at Tribal Mark Studios, 13 Asiko Street, Tantra Hills, Accra.
Daddy.